Determining property value when selling your house. Hi, I'm Jonathan Otero. I'm the owner of J&J Management Group, and We Buy Houses Seminole. And I want to talk to you today about something that's critical when you're selling real estate, and that is looking at the comparable sales, or what we call the comps in real estate. And how do we determine your property value? And that is the number one thing that you need to do in selling your real estate. A lot of people say when it comes to real estate, location, location, location. You've probably heard that before. I'm going to say it a little bit differently. I say price, 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 because it is my belief and my experience that you can sell any house in any condition in any neighborhood as long as you're priced correctly. So let's talk about how to price your house. The first thing you want to do when you're determining your property value is you want to look at houses that are the same building envelope as your home. So what do I mean by that? If your house is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,400 square foot house, one level, you only want to be looking at houses that are similar to your house. You don't want to be looking at 4-bedroom homes. You don't want to be looking at a house that's 1,800 square foot if your house is 1,400. You want to be looking at houses that are the same building envelope as your home. Okay, so let's talk about what you want to do. The first thing that you want to do, the first place that you want to go, if you have access to it, is the MLS. Okay, you've probably heard that a lot on my videos. MLS is key. It's the number one tool that we have as real estate professionals in figuring out what the comparable sales are in the area. If you do not have access to the MLS and you're a real estate investor, you need to find a real estate agent that does. Partner up with that person and see if they'll be willing to help you out. Check comparable sales whenever you're looking at a subject property. But having the MLS is critical. Now, let's just assume that you already have access to the MLS. Let's say you've met with an agent and you guys are networking with each other and you have access to the MLS through that agent. The first thing that agent is going to do, and what you should be doing, is on the MLS itself, you want to look at active comparable sales in the area. You want to look at also sold comparable sales, sold within the last 6 months. You don't want to go past 6 months. You want to stay within that range. And you want to look at pending sales as well. So that way you can get a full scope of what's going on in the neighborhood. Okay, so those are keys right there with the MLS. You want to look at same building envelope, active, pending, or withdrawn, okay, or sold within the last 6 months, and the same square footage. Now the square footage, again, you want to be able to have a house that, let's say your house is 1,400 square foot. You don't want to be looking at anything that's 5 to 10% above that square footage or below that square footage. You don't want to go more than that. So if you have a 1,400 square foot house, do not be looking at 1,800 square foot houses, because it just wouldn't make sense, even if they're 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms as well. The house is just not a comparable sale. So with that being said, once your agent looks at those different criterias, the next thing that they want to do is determine where the property is located, and you want to look for sales that are within a 1 mile radius. So 1 mile from the subject property, meaning if your house is here, you don't want to go past 1 mile from that subject property. Okay, and that's critical because a lot of times when a property appraiser is going to come check the house, when they're appraising the house, the reason why we do that is because they're looking at houses that are sold within that same area, only within a mile radius. Unless you're in a very rural area, maybe sometimes in those cases, they'll go 2 or possibly 3 miles out to try to find a comparable sale. But generally speaking, if you're in a city area, you don't want to go past 1 mile. Because at that point, then it just becomes a totally different neighborhood, and things could be different at that point. And you want to think like a property appraiser does. So if they check it within a 1 mile radius, you check it within a 1 mile radius, and that's the best way to determine those comps. So you check the MLS, you check an active, pending, sold, withdrawn within the last 6 months. You're checking within a 1 mile radius. If your house has a pool or it doesn't, you also want to check that as well, because that could be critical. Houses with a pool add a little bit more value than houses that don't. That's another big thing. And then when you do that with the MLS, you'll be able to populate all of the comparable sales in that area and determine, based on those numbers, where you should probably price your house. Now, me personally, whatever that number is, let's just say this house that we're looking at, the three bedroom, 2 bathroom, 1,400 square foot, 1 level house. Let's just say that house, their house is in the area. I can find 3 sales that just happened for $180,000. Me personally, I price my house as long as it's comparable and doesn't need, the same type of work is needed. The whole thing is apples to apples comparable. I like to price my houses a little bit below that because I like to potentially sell the house faster and get a bidding war going and get multiple offer situations. Again, that's up to you how you want to operate your business, but that is the critical part of it. Now, you may be sitting there saying, well, what if I don't have access to the MLS? What do I do? Well, the only other thing you can probably do is partner up, like I said, with an agent that maybe can help you out with that. But if you don't and you're just getting started and you need help, the next thing that you want to do is you want to go, if you don't have access to MLS, you want to go to Realtor.com. Now, I'm not a spokesperson for Realtor.com. I don't work for them. But I know that when I got started, that's what I used a lot, was Realtor.com. And with Realtor, when you go into that website, at the search bar, you can type in an address, and on the very top it says home estimate. You can click on that and hit go, and then it'll populate all the different sales that were in that area if you scroll down to the middle of the page. And you can see houses that are the same type of house like yours. And then at that point, you'd be able to determine if this property is a comparable sale or not. You can look at the bedrooms, bathrooms, you can look at the square footage. You can actually click on them and look at the pictures and see if your house needs a little bit of work, did those houses need work, or were they in pristine condition? Those are some of the things that you have to factor in as well. So that's the best way to get started. But the key is you only want to look at houses with the same building envelope as your house. Same bedrooms, same bathrooms, if possible, same square footage, plus or minus 5 to 10% the most, either up or down on the square footage. You want to look at houses that were sold within the last 6 months. That's also critical. And also within a 1 mile radius of your property. Once you can get all that information together, then you can take a look at all those comps and determine what is the best property value for the property that I'm looking to sell. Another thing that you want to look at that's critical is something that's called days on market, DOM. You can actually see through Realtor.com, or if you have access to the MLS, how many days the property's been on the market. So say you found a comparable sale that just sold last month. However, that house was on the market for over 30 days. Chances are either there was something wrong with that house, and we need to dig down a little bit deeper to find out what that was, or it was overpriced. Critical. You don't want to be more than 30 days on the market. If a house is on the market for more than 30 days, it is probably overpriced. And that's the only reason why houses do not sell if they're on the MLS. The price is wrong, or the property condition is poor. So you want to look at days on market, and if you find 3 or 4 comparable sales that have just recently sold within the last 6 months, and they only spent 4, 5, 6 days on the market, that's really, really good. That's something that you want to continue to look, because eventually when you put your house on the market, the goal is to sell it fast and sell it quick. You don't want to sit with the property, because the more you sit with it, the more people think something's wrong with your property. So if you can find comparable sales that have the same bedrooms, same bathrooms, same square footage, same building envelope that has been less than 10 days on the market, that is a really, really good comp, and you want to focus on that. Again, now my personal belief is when I'm looking at comps, if I know that this subject property that we're looking at, the comps are telling me that it's within a 1 mile radius, houses are selling for about $180,000, I'm not going to price my house at the same thing. I want to sell it just a little bit below market value so I can potentially have multiple offers and have a bidding war starting, and that way they can bid it back up to where it needs to be. You don't want to have a lot of mistake that real estate investors make, or even people that are selling their house for sale by owner, is they price their house exactly what the market says, and now unless your house has something really, really unique and special to it, chances are people are just going to look it over. If you price it just a little bit below market value, $5,000, $10,000 less. And that's what I do. Again, you do what you need to do. But for me, I want to start a bidding war. I want to get multiple offer situation every time and let them bid it back up. So that's key. But you cannot pull that strategy off unless you know what the comparable sales are. So let's review real quick, because it's very, very important to understand. You either want to get access to the MLS, you either have access by yourself, or you have an agent that's a friend of yours, or somebody that can get you access to that you've partnered up with, that you've networked with, that can get access to that and be able to pull comparable sales in your area. When you're looking at the MLS, or when you're looking at Realtor.com, you want to see houses that have the same bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. You want to look at houses if it has a pool, or if it doesn't have a pool, property condition is critical. and also how many days on market. So MLS, if you have some experience, Realtor.com if you're just getting started and you want to make sure you put this all together. Once you get all that information in there, then you'll be able to determine your property value correctly. Now, taking it a little step further, especially if you're somebody new just getting started in this business, when you're looking at Realtor.com, there's a lot of other factors that you want to look at. So you may want to take a look and check the public records and see if there's anything specific about that property that maybe they just put a new roof on. And if there's something that's an anomaly, let's say you see 3 houses and they're all $180,000, but there's one that sold for $220,000. Why was that? So let's dig down a little bit deeper. Let's check the public records in that county and see if there was something put on recently that we don't know about. You got to scan those pictures on each listing and see if there's something different about that property that makes it unique and special. That in that particular case, you may want to pull that comp out. That might not be a good comparable sale because there's something unique about that particular property. Maybe they just put a new pool in and the pool looked like a resort back there and it sold because of that. Or maybe they just renovated the kitchens and the bathrooms and they were able to sell it for more money. And in this particular case, your property doesn't have that. So that may be a negative comp. You don't want to look at that necessarily. You want to make sure that you look at everything apples to apples to apples when comparing these comps and determining your property value. So hopefully that helped you out a lot. I know a lot of people have those questions. It is key to understand when you're determining your value, especially if you're selling your own house. You're emotionally attached to this house. So it's very hard for you because you know all the ins and outs of that house. You know exactly, you remember when you had a party there and your family came over for a big barbecue, and you remember when your kids grew up and were playing in the backyard with their friends, and those are memories that you have. It's hard to let that go. So you think that your house is worth more than what it is sometimes. And the biggest mistake I see people make, especially people that are selling houses on their own, for sale by owner, or when an agent comes in and trying to tell you what the value of your house is and you don't believe them, the biggest mistake is they're overvaluing their house. They look at their house and they say, well, the market says that this house is worth $100,000, but I know for a fact that this house is way better. I'm glad that you kept it great, but you have to understand that when we're looking as professionals, when we're looking at property, we're just looking at the numbers. When a property appraiser comes in to appraise your house, if you're selling to someone getting a loan, they don't look at that stuff either. They basically just look at these things and then determine what your property value is. So that's a big mistake people make, because even if you sold that house for $140,000, but all the houses in this neighborhood were selling for only $100,000, when an appraiser comes in there and they look at this, they go, well, no, this house is only worth $100,000, so we're only going to loan on $100,000. We're not going to loan $140,000 because the comps do not support it. So now the buyer either has to come up with the difference or you have to come down in order to make that deal work. And so because you were trying to be greedy and because you didn't comp your house correctly, now the deal falls apart because now the buyer cannot come up with that $40,000 or you don't want to come down, and then you're sitting with the house again and it defeats the whole purpose. So it's critical when determining the property value that you look at these things and you look at it objectively, you remove your emotional attachment out of it, and you say, this is what the houses are telling me, this is what my neighborhood is telling me that this house is worth. I list it on the market. Hopefully this video helped you out. Hopefully you understand a little bit more about how to comp your property correctly. Again, if you have access to the MLS, that's great. If you don't, Realtor.com is a great source to go to. I hope this helped you out. It's helped you out a lot. We would love to take a look at your property as well. I'm a real estate investor here local in Orlando, and we love to help people out in our area. So if you have any questions, if you're thinking about, you want to find out what the property value is of your house, feel free to give us a call. We'd love to see if maybe we can do a deal with you where maybe we can purchase the house. You can visit our website at webuyhousesseminole.org. Again, that's webuyhousesseminole.org. Or you can give us a call. The number is 407-796-8557. Give us a call, visit our website, and maybe we can help you out, figure out what the property value is. And maybe if the deal makes sense, maybe we'd be willing to do a deal with you as well. So hopefully that video helped out determining your property value. Good luck, guys, when you're out there on the market. And remember, real estate can be very, very complicated, or it could be very, very simple. And that's our logo at We Buy Houses Seminole. Let's just keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. Take care, guys.